Welcome to Shore Support, a program that highlights organizations who enhance the lives of our community through charitable efforts. I'm your host, Nathan Magno, and on today's episode, we'll be discussing about autism awareness. April is Autism Awareness Month. In fostering the inclusivity and warmth of our community, we want to take this month as an opportunity to welcome and celebrate people with autism. Today, we'll be joined by a member of the Ocean County College community who supports those with autism. Now joining us is Jamie Oratz Prioli, Assistant Director for Disability Services at Ocean County College. A pleasure for you to join us today, Jamie.
Thank you for the invitation.
So what is the overall mission and principles for the Office of Disability Services at Ocean County College?
So our overall mission is to make sure that we're providing a welcoming and affirming environment for all students, including those with autism or Asperger's. We recognize that there is a sense of intersectionality and a diverse experience that someone can bring to the table. So that's what our office is really promoting, is that connection. And if there is an accommodation that's necessary, we will help that student to find it. We also follow several different principles, and principles are very important for us. One is that diversity is a part of disability because we recognize that it's a part of the natural human process. As we age, we recognize that there are some challenges. There may be some access needs or some barriers. So we recognize that disability is a part of diversity. All students should have equal access, and that's also very important to us. No matter what the student's ability, we want to make sure that they're provided equal access as far as it is with their non-disabled peers. And then our other principle is confidentiality is a right. We make sure that all students who are connected with our office have a sense of confidentiality. We do not share their personal information with others on campus regarding their disability, though the student can choose to share their disability-related information if they want with their peers, with faculty, staff, anyone on campus. That's their right to do so, but within our office, confidentiality is a right.
To be able to give them that empowerment to be able to act on their own.
Absolutely, and it's a part of growth. It's a part of transition.
Certainly.
Into adult life.
And especially because with April being Autism Awareness Month, can you tell us some of the support and accommodations that you provide for students with autism?
So for students with autism, we do look at every single individual as a unique individual being. So when we usually say when a student or when a person identifies as having autism, that's one person who identifies as being autistic. So everyone has different needs, everyone has different abilities. But we'll look at the individual's academic needs or supports that they may require. Perhaps it's a matter of testing in a quieter environment, or maybe they need assistance with longer testing time, or the ability to take breaks without penalty. Sometimes it's really important during an exam to sit and take your exam without getting up, but for a person with autism, maybe they need to self-regulate and take a break. And so part of their accommodation would be that they could get up for a moment, come back without a penalty. Same thing in the classroom.
And especially because you want to make sure that your students have that full opportunity and they can make the most out of those courses.
Right.
So can you emphasize that importance that students with disabilities to have equal access to all those courses?
Absolutely. Equal access should be for all students, no matter what their ability is. And our office will help navigate that process to make sure that under the law, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, they are provided that equal access opportunity to be at the table, just as their non-disabled peers, and to make things as natural as possible with those supports that are appropriate and reasonable at the post-secondary level.
And especially because a resource that you offer to those students is teaching them that self-advocacy. What role does this play on students preparing for their future and requesting the help that they need?
So we always look at a student as an individual, that this is a stage of their growth. So we want to make sure that we are another step in the transition ladder. And that means that a student could maybe move on to a four-year school or to their place of employment, potential employment. And advocacy is so important. We make a little joke sometimes. We try to joke, saying that it's It's not sexy when you bring your parent or your auntie to your new place of employment during your interview, right? We didn't get to have that opportunity. So self-advocacy, what are the things that you need for an interview? What are the things that you might need in college? Because many of the students that we see in our office have come from the K through 12 environment where their modifications or course requirements, a lot of things have been handed to them, or maybe they didn't have as much part in that process. And it's very different. Once they graduate from high school, it happens. In college, you're on your own. So we teach those skills to try to move to the next level, to transition.
Certainly, certainly. And for our audience who may not be aware of that term, self-advocacy, could you explain it?
Sure. Self-advocacy is where you're expressing your need for something in a different way. So, for example, if someone says you are going to take this test in the classroom just as everyone else. But you know that because of your disability, you need to have a quieter environment. It would be, I need a quieter environment because of my disability. It's explaining how you need a simpler accommodation and expressing what your abilities are and what support you need.
Certainly, certainly. So being able to, I don't want to put it as general as speaking up for yourself, but being able to explain your needs.
Yes, absolutely. Because a lot of times we'll be, put into an area where we're all the same and there's really no expectation of anybody's different. But, just like I may like to drink my coffee black, but if you don't drink your coffee black, you like it with cream, will you drink it black or will you ask for creamer?
Then what are some of those misconceptions then about ASD?
So one misconception is that it's that only males are affected, and males and females can be diagnosed with having ASD. Another is that that there's an epidemic. The numbers are always rising with people being diagnosed, and that's really not true. There's not an epidemic. Number one, there's a greater recognition of the symptoms of what an individual with autism could have. So it's easier for the doctors to diagnose. There's also increasing medical expertise. So more physicians are becoming aware and receiving proper training on how to diagnose someone with ASD. The other is there's changes to the diagnosis. So back in 2013, there was a change to the DSM-5, which is a diagnostic tool. And so people were actually put under the diagnosis. People with pervasive developmental disorder, Asperger's syndrome, autism are now under that one diagnosis. So when you put everybody all together, that increased the numbers. And then finally, there's new rules. So before, it used to be that you could not have a dual diagnosis of autism and ADD or ADHD. So now that's okay, and that increased the numbers as well.
And especially because when we take a look at those entering to the workforce, students with disabilities coming out of post-secondary are usually going to be struggling with unemployment. They're either being underpaid or they're just underemployed in that case. What advice can you give to those preparing to enter the workforce?
So take advantage of the resources that are available. And Ocean County College has a number of great resources that are on campus for all students. But especially for someone with autism, it's great to be connected to a resource. Number one, we have our Career Center. The Career Center can help with providing leads on where there might be job opportunities. They also can help review resumes, and perhaps even there might be workshops available that focus on interview skills. We also, through our office, will help with those types of opportunities. So as a certified rehabilitation counselor, one of the things that I'm trained to do is to look at career and vocational needs for individuals with disabilities. So we'll actually do mock interviews for a student, and that's something that we do on a case-by-case basis, but that's one other opportunity. We'll connect them also with the New Jersey Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, and that organization is designed to help individuals, adults with disabilities, find a job, keep their job, and get possible accommodations that they may need. So those are other resources that we connect the student to. And then one final part is we're a member of the Workforce Readiness Program, which is with the Department of Labor. We have applied for the past 3 years and we'll be applying again, and that helps connect students with disabilities to have an opportunity to competitively apply for government jobs and internships.
That's wonderful. Being able to at least send students to different resources to get that preparation in. And especially because one of the most important things, not even just being able to live independently, but being able to find a community that can relate to those experiences.
Absolutely.
Ocean County College hosts a chapter of the Delta Alpha Pi International Honor Society for students with disabilities. How does a student qualify for this, and what does it offer?
So students who qualify for this must be currently enrolled at Ocean County College, have at minimum 24 credits, a GPA of 3.1, and also be connected and self-identify as having a disability. And what we try to do is we try to foster a relationship with students throughout in the community. We are connected with other prestigious four-year colleges. We are proud to say that we are the first New Jersey community college to have a chapter. But what we also try to do is really increase the culture awareness of individuals with disabilities. And that's because it's only our third year. We're still in the infantile stages of getting more out into our campus community, but we're on our way there.
Certainly, nice. And so what is the process of signing up for accommodations through disability services?
So the first part is self-identification, and that's part of the self-advocacy part, really reinforcing that I do have a disability, and it's on the student. It's not on a professional. It's not on a parent to come to our office. It's on the student to say, I have a disability and I'm looking for needs. So they can go to our website, which is go.ocean.edu/intake. And that's where a student will identify as having a disability, describe their needs, upload supporting documentation. Once we receive that, we reach out to the student, we review supporting documentation of disability, and then we arrange for a meeting. And we do the meet and greet, which is referred to as our interactive process. We talk to the student and discuss what they've had in the past, and then also they get to share what they perceive as their disability, and we go over accommodations and resources.
Okay, gotcha. So it's a really in-depth process to at least screen them, but also a way to introduce them to that community. Thank you for sharing your insights with us, Jamie.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be continuing our conversation about autism awareness right after this.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. That I know what you're going through. I know things aren't easy, but you still show up. I wonder if you know that we can get help, that we don't have to go through this alone. Let's see how far we can go. Love your mind.
Hey, boss. Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
I said I'm fine.
Since I was little, it was only like me and my parents.
You think you created family out of characters?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna take that and make it into a song.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. Where you at, on the way out? In my head, in my head, in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Pop.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Welcome back to Shore Support. I'm Nathan Magno, and with me once again is Jamie Arras Prioli, Assistant Director for Disability Services at Ocean County College. So, where we left off was primarily talking a lot about that self-advocacy, trying to build a community, and making sure that students get their resources. But what I want to start off with is, what got you interested into your position? How did you get here today?
So, humans in general are many, many layers. So I took the scenic route to come here. I started my formal education. I have a degree in music education, and I started my studies for music therapy. And after I graduated college, initially I went to work with individuals with disabilities. I worked locally with adults with physical disabilities, sensory disabilities, and I realized that I really enjoyed working with young adults. I also self-identify as having a hidden disability. So I wasn't diagnosed until later in life, but it explained a lot of things. My parents will definitely support that. So I have that personal connection, and as well as many family members identify as having access needs. But after my formal education, sometime later, I decided that I really wanted to pursue more knowledge of what it is like, of what I need, the skills for working with young adults with disabilities. So my master's is in vocational rehabilitation counseling. I'm a certified counselor. And really, I find that it is so rewarding to share personal experience as well as professional knowledge about how we can really help someone to be as independent as possible, seek the supports that they need. So I've worked at Temple University for a number of years, and then I came here because it was a lot closer to home, but the community college setting is really where I feel that my passion lies, to help these students really recognize who they are, what their abilities are, and what supports they need.
The bridge in terms of getting out into the real world to discover who they actually are. And especially because when it comes to any sort of struggle that we may face, it can often feel like we're fighting it alone. What I want to ask is, what are some of the struggles that you see in your position with students?
So there are times that I can actually see the student really having a struggle with expressing what their needs are. They may have come from an environment with, K through 12, or maybe they were not even connected in high school, like myself, and not know what the barriers are or what the options are, what they're capable of doing. So we want to really work with the students and try to have them learn how to express what their difficulties might be, and find out what is that specific support that can help them at the college level, because it's very different. It would be easy if I could wave a wand and say, it's fixed. It's not that way. We need to kind of MacGyver it, figure out that unique opportunity, that unique strategy that's appropriate for college. And then having that shared experience, I can share with individuals when I feel that it could be helpful, what my struggles may have been. And really, we put a little bit of a look at that. It's not really necessarily a struggle, it's just a different way of navigating the process.
Certainly, a different way of expressing it in that regard. But especially when it comes to navigating through those struggles, the first step is always the hardest.
It is, and that's something that for many individuals, I applaud students who may have had an individualized education plan or an IEP in high school, and they want to come into college with no letter of accommodation. They want to try things on their own, and I applaud them, because that's the first step of saying, what is it that can I do this on my own? It gives them the opportunity. On the other side, we may have individuals, and a disability can happen at any time in someone's life. So someone may have we have many non-traditional students. So they may have acquired a disability later in life, and now wow, my life has changed. What do I do? Do I say it's all over? Absolutely not. Let's find out what we need. So it's, again, finding the bridge, finding the connection, and really expressing what their needs are.
Right. And for those who may not have that awareness of those disabilities, what they're going through, what those challenges are, what advice would you give to those who may not be as versed as you are? What do you see that they don't?
Sometimes it's a matter of really just seeing what's going on around you. It's okay to be quiet and watch and listen. Maybe some of someone else's experience can be applicable in your own life. And so to observe, take a chance and join one of our meetings. We have peer support groups that are sporadic throughout the semester. Listen to someone's story and maybe contribute when you feel that you're ready to. Or if you're very boisterous, share that right away so that others know that, because we're all unique beings. That's what makes this a wonderful campus opportunity to share and really put forth that foot to be at the table. If there's an event coming up, go to the table. And if you feel comfortable, share that you have differences, that you are a unique person. And if you need an accommodation, speak up and ask for it, because that's your right.
Right. And especially because those students may be facing individual journeys. And as we touched on before, the importance of community, not necessarily just because it's better to be in a group than being alone, but it's the fact that you have people at your side. Especially when it comes to building a community, how can we help support those who may be facing those individual journeys to perhaps face it together?
So one of the things that we do offer through our office is we've tried to hold support group meetings, and that can be well attended from time to time, but students have a very challenging schedule. What we also try to do is our office will go to different club meetings, and we try to work our way in to say, we share our experiences. So one of our most successful connections is with the Pride Club. There's a lot of intersectionality between identification of gender, of orientation, and of abilities. And so we found that our staff will go into a meeting and just have those deep conversations as they're appropriate. And when I say appropriate, if the student wants to have a conversation, if they want to ask, I'm not sure if I should say if I have a disability. And we can talk about shared experiences as well as professional recommendations.
Certainly. But it's that intersectionality that we are striving for within as a community.
Absolutely.
To be able to connect these different platforms to work as one.
Right. And then we really build that greater sense of being at the table. It's great to be at the table and have discussions with other peers, no matter what their ability is, but you can share that experience. And I'm able to access this point. I need these accommodations. It's a beautiful thing when we can all share what our differences are and still communicate.
Right. So in your position, what are your hopes in terms of trying to build that community? What do you hope to see in the next couple of years in terms of raising this awareness?
It's my hope that, I don't know if I should talk myself out of a job or not, but I should hope that really accessibility is layered in throughout almost every single action and organization throughout our community, and it's not just done through one office. It's done by everybody. It's part of the natural process. I would love it if our office did not have to write accommodation letters for students, that there is some form of flexibility where there's more of a universal design practice in our meetings, in our gatherings, in our academics. But that's something that is very much in the distance. I know that our professional development opportunities have really increased, where there's more of a discussion on universal design. How can multiple people with multiple access needs get the same information and present in the same way? So that's one of my goals, is that really accessibility is embedded throughout our entire campus.
Right. To make sure that every door is open for a student.
Absolutely.
If you wouldn't mind, could you share some success stories that you've seen in your position?
There have been a number of success stories. One in particular was someone who recently came back to our office after taking a brief hiatus. And college wasn't really they wanted to explore getting their degree, and they struggled academically. And as most young adults do, maybe they didn't go to class all the time, or they struggled. And we kept on trying to get them to contact us and stay connected. We have the resources to help you. And the student decided to take a break. And they came back just recently and said that they needed that break to find themselves. And they knew that they had supports at Ocean County College. And they are now enrolled in the upcoming fall semester. They're getting ready to, they have their appointment already. So that's another nice success story. One other really quick success story is an individual that obtained their degree. They never thought that they would get their degree. It took them 7 years to accomplish it, but they did it with the supports that were available through our office. And now they are teaching. Now they're teaching in a private school, and they never thought that they could do that.
Wow, that's awesome. But I think it speaks a lot that you have a lot of students coming back, even though that there may have been this huge gap, but they were your first mark.
Yes, absolutely. And it's okay. We really emphasize that this was not a failure. This was just a creative scenic path. You have to learn. Sometimes learning is not always positive. Sometimes there may be a negative part to it, what could be perceived as negative, but it's a learning experience. And it's okay to have those bumps in the road because you learn how to navigate that. And that's something that we really do try to discuss with our students, that even though you may not have gotten the grade that you wanted to, it's okay. If you want to improve it, what could you do differently, if anything differently?
Especially because it takes a while to learn how we react, to see what barriers may face us, and knowing just how to navigate through it.
And especially for a student who is just coming out of high school, or someone who has newly acquired a disability, there's a whole learning factor on top of their education. How do I navigate this? For some students, it means that they need to really learn to be more independent, because in the past, things were almost prescriptive for them, or they didn't have as much input. Now, this is all about the student. We really need to, help empower them.
And as a final word of advice for students who may want to ask for help but struggle to express that, what advice would you give to those students?
That it's okay to not be sure, and communication. Communication is key. We saw a student this morning who said, I don't know, I'm struggling. Okay. You recognize that you're struggling. Let's schedule a meeting and we're going to talk about this more. And it's okay to not be sure what the next steps are, because we're in this as a community to help you figure it out, so that when you move on to the next point in your journey, whether it's career related or it's academic, you can take those skills and carry them over.
What a wonderful piece of advice, something that could be applied to everyone. Well, thank you, Jamie, for showing all this wonderful information about autism and how we as a community can help support that.
Thank you.
And again, we want to send an even bigger thank you for just the wonderful insight in regards to how we can celebrate this month in support of the neurodiverse community. Awareness should lead to action, and it all starts with us. So take the moment, no matter how big or small, to learn, listen, and create an inclusive space where everyone is valued. For Shore Support, I'm Nathan Magno, and thank you for watching.